just like them, outside. I could see them. Pointing, mumbling, just there.
Screw them.
I don't blame them for being scared. I'm scared too. I used to be scared that people would find out that I was gay. Yeah? Now I can't even hide it anymore. I'm a leper. An outcast. And untouchable. No one will look at me. No one will touch me. I want to hate everyone for treating me this way. How can I hate them for being scared when I'm the one that's been living the lie?
This is your chance to change that. Have this surgery. Let us operate.
What's the point? No one recovers from this. No one lives.
For all you know, there could be a cure for this thing tomorrow or next week. Let us operate.
Okay. Guess you might have figured out that the disease in question was HIV. And my mic is on now. I think my favorite line in that whole thing is the supposition that there could be a cure for this tomorrow or next week. Who knows? We had so much hope. But I think it was very interesting to kind of go back and talk about the attitudes and the evolution of the disease, which is something that I think entertainment gives you a chance to do. And it's why I rationalize being able to save lives on one hand and working TV on the other hand. It also helps to rationalize that for my mother, who could not understand the transition. What I figured out was that in the emergency room, so I'm a trained emergency medicine physician, if I saw 3 or 4 patients an hour, which would be a lot, I might reach, those 3 or 4 patients. They might tell two or 3 friends. I could reach maybe 36, maybe even 200 people if they told 2 or 3 friends. But if I write an episode of television on diabetes, say, I can reach, as Sandra was saying, I could reach, millions of people with one show. So this has given me a good way to integrate all of my different, with the public health, the medicine, and the creative part of me. It's been able to be a very good way to put that out there and have a real global health stance in the world. So I've been really pleased to be able to work with Hollywood Health and Society in any way that I can. So basically for our show, the way we integrate medicine is that we are taking our characters on a journey. Like all of our characters will have an arc for each episode, well, the characters that we're focusing on. So they're gonna be learning something throughout the episode, and the way they learn those things is through the medical case most often. And we usually have a theme that we start with. For this particular episode, the theme was outcasts. And it was, for this storyline, we had Richard, who was the only black surgical resident in 1982. We had Ellis, who was the only female surgical resident. And then we had the patient who was trying to pretend like he wasn't gay and living a life as a heterosexual. And then when he got the Kaposi's sarcoma, it was obvious that he was gay and he had to come clean. And on the flip side with the characters, they were also having an affair. They were both married, so they were also living a lie. So in that way, we were able to integrate the journey that the characters were going on, as well as tell a story about the patient and the journey that he was going on. So that's the way we always try to work on our show, is that we have a certain theme, and we either start off with a theme, sometimes we can start off with the medical case, and like if we do a lot of research about what we're going to do. Sometimes we just love a medical case and we try to integrate it, and we try to figure out how the patients, how our characters are going to learn. They're either learning from the patient, from the disease itself, or sometimes it's the way we treat the disease or how the doctors are interacting with the patient and the disease. And the way we get our stories are through, we have a researcher that basically combs every medical thing that comes out, be it in a medical journal, be it in People, be it in Reader's Digest, all kinds, just any place there is a story about a person, a story about a new way of doing things, a story about a new surgical technique, or an old one and how we're changing it. We'll mine those stories. And the way we use Hollywood Health and Society is to, sometimes we'll have these stories, and medical reporters will often not have a baseline medical knowledge. So we'll want to talk to the expert or the exact person who did the procedure. Or sometimes we just have a general disease that we want to do. Like I just did an episode where my patient had sickle cell and was pregnant. And whereas I've treated sickle cell and I've treated pregnancy, I don't treat a lot of them together. So they got us in touch with the sickle cell expert in basically Southern California, who was at Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. So through them, we were able to talk directly to these people. And, of course we found out pages and pages of information from them because we talked to them for like an hour or two. And we only got to put in little bits, but we could scatter it in there. So we were able to, put in little bitty messages, and those just will kind of infiltrate, and hopefully people will kind of learn through osmosis. When they don't know that they're learning, I think is some of the best ways to really get them, because they don't know they've learned it, they're just being entertained. So in this way, I think it's a fantastic way of getting those messages out there. And our main goal is to just take our character, it's all about the character. It's all about telling a story. And when we're talking to these experts, one of our questions is always, as much as possible, to ask them what they feel is important, like what kind of public health issue they really want to get out there. And if we can integrate it in a way that we're not preaching to our audience, or it doesn't just sound didactic, if we can make it fall into the story and just kind of just meld nicely into the story, we will definitely put that in there. Sometimes we don't always get to, sometimes it gets cut for time, and that's not because it's a public health message, it's because we're entertaining people. So a lot of things get cut for time that we love. In writing, you always, those of you who are writers or producers or directors, you know that sometimes you have to kill your baby. Things you love, you just can't put in there for a number of reasons. So it's never because of the medicine, it's often because we just can't fit it in.
I wanted to ask you a question about that. So on Grey's Anatomy, it's a medical show, so you're always talking about health and disease. Have you ever come across a time when you've gotten pushback from the network on something you wanted to do that they wouldn't let you do? And what was that, and why would that happen?
Well, Grey's Anatomy is so successful that we don't get much pushback.
Well, that's an important answer.
Can you think of a specific example?
No, I just know, being in your position as medical advisor on all of the health content, are there times when sort of the dramatic aspect of the storyline will take over and that they'll override your medical wisdom?
Oh, always. My first show was called, I forgot what it was called. I was only on it for 8 months, and so no one would know. Presidio Med. It was on CBS, and that was the first show, the first time I'd ever been on television. It was totally learned through being there. But my boss we're 2 doctors on staff, and she sat us down on the first day, and she was like, look, we want to be as accurate as possible, because she had come from the ER camp. And we want to be as accurate as possible. We enjoy the medicine. We have 2 doctors here. We're very serious about the medicine. But when worse comes to worse and push comes to shove, the drama will always win. So that was a good lesson for me, because I think a lot of doctors who are trying to get in, and a lot of, I think, consultants who are presenting to us try to make it all about the medicine. And sometimes they'll pitch us stories, and they're like, oh, you could do this, this, and this, and this, and it's all medicine. And we're like, okay, we kind of know where we want to go with this, so please just let us guide it for you, because it's really about the overall arching of things. So oftentimes things get a little bit skewed, things get a little bit off, and I can't be held responsible for that, because I fight like the dickens. Like there was one particular one particular moment where Meredith drowned for like 2 days, and and she was up and extubated within probably like 18 hours, and I fought and fought and fought that she would be intubated for a little while, and then maybe the next episode be in the hospital, and then maybe the next episode be up. But the next episode she was up and walking and working. So I try to fight as much as I can. The accuracy gets off on 2 accounts, and I'll stop right after this. The accuracy gets off on what people do, like on her show, which we created Addison's character, and I'm sorry, but she has like 18 specialties. She would have had to be like 12 when she finished medical school to be all the kind of doctors that she is, and that's partially my fault. Also in timing. We have to compress time for the sake of the drama and for the sake of the show. So things that may take 6 months will sometimes take a day on the show. So, and people will heal very fast. So that's where it kind of gets into a little bit of inaccuracy, but we still keep the medicine and the steps that you need to take correct.
I'd just like to say one small thing. It's so true, but it's so necessary. Because if you lost the drama, you lost the audience. You need to get your message across, you need to get your knowledge across without losing the drama. Otherwise, you won't get it across. That's probably the reason why it happens.
I like that concise. Thank you. That is actually very concise. That should be our motto, because it's the truth. Well, now let's go to Jennifer Cecil. And Jennifer, I know you brought a clip too, and would you like to set it up, or?
I would. Is this on? Yes,
Okay.
it's on. Private Practice, for people who haven't seen it, as Zoanne said, is a spin-off from Grey's Anatomy, so it's also a medical show. But this practice is set in Santa Monica, California, and it's a group of doctors who formed a medical cooperative, and their belief is that patient care is better and it's stronger when you have several doctors working together and other doctors to bounce ideas off of. So there's a pediatrician, there's 2 therapists, there's a gynecologist, there's an in vitro specialist, there's all sorts of people. In the clip that I'm going to show you, there's a doctor named Pete who is an ER doc as well as a holistic Eastern medicine doctor, butts heads with Cooper, who is a pediatrician, over a patient, a 12-year-old girl who they had both seen for treatment of a leukemia, and the leukemia is returning.
Cancer's come back. Her body can't take more chemo. The last 2 times she lost all her hair. Her mouth and tongue were covered in ulcers.
Even after a relapse, Elisa's type of lymphoma is curable.
I believe that. But not with Western medicine.
Chemotherapy is the way to fight this.
There's another way. I'm taking Elisa to a shaman. I know you think I'm crazy, Dr. Friedman, but my only concern is that Elisa get well. We tried Western medicine, it failed.
It kept her alive.
It killed my wife.
Alice died of an aneurysm that ruptured. Nobody could have saved her. And Elisa, she can still be saved.
Poppy, is she okay?
Elisa?
Mika?
Elisa? She needs help.
She's getting help. It's just the bad energy leaving her body.
I'm not getting a pulse.
Leave her alone.
I'm calling an ambulance.
Stop it. Let the shaman finish.
Elisa, stay with me now. Come on.
Elisa is my daughter, and I will decide what medical treatment...
Not if you're incapable of making a responsible decision.
Alternative therapies work, Cooper. I've seen patients cured with the right combination of homeopathic remedies. Elisa can get the kind of treatment that Diego wants.
Okay, enough. I'm sorry. I don't care what Diego wants. I'm getting a judge to order Elisa's chemo.
No, you can't do that.
Yes, I can. And I will.
Your Honor, what Diego is asking for may seem unconventional, but I've seen it work.
The only guaranteed cure for lymphoma is chemotherapy.
I need to take the family's religious beliefs into account.
Okay, but what kind of father just stands by and doesn't save their child?
Stop it! Please, Dr. Freeman. If I have more chemo, my family won't make it. We're living in a trailer park because of me. My treatments bankrupt us. Papi had to sell the house. I hear you on the phone begging to keep the power on. I see you skipping meals so the rest of us can eat. Carlos and Pilar, they deserve a life that doesn't revolve around my hospital visits.
And so do you. The shaman will save you.
No, she won't. I'm sorry, Papi. I don't believe what you believe. I'm not afraid. Let the shaman take me to Mama.
The judge ordered the chemo. You didn't have to arrange this.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I'm not completely unreasonable.